is going on, everybody? We're alive. We made it. We're here. Even though you haven't seen us for 2 weeks, and the last you all knew we were just somewhere down south.
Tennessee with random people.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess they're not random people. They are random people, but they're not that random.
You've met some of them. I have not met anybody else in person, so technically
you hadn't even met me.
No.
So if anyone's new here, doesn't know what we're talking about. So we haven't done a podcast in 2 weeks. We were crazy busy last week, and then the week before that, we were at SRF. And that night was after the weekend we had. We both looked at each other, and it's like, are we doing Meet the Critters? Like, we should, because we're both right here.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Sunday night I just went and sat on the porch of the Airbnb for like 45 minutes in silence by myself.
Well, that was the heart. No, that was that. What was Sunday? Saturday was the dinner.
Yes, Saturday was the dinner I went to.
Sunday we stayed late because you did your interview.
Yes.
We're done. We want to just chill out and rest for the trip home.
Yeah. So I guess we'll start from the beginning instead of just hopping right into Sunday of SRF. Yeah, I caught that halfway through. Good morning, Seattle. What's up, buddy? Good to have you in here. Hello to everyone in the chat. We got 5 people in here now. We love you all. Rachel Brown's pissed. Rachel Brown says, I'm not a shithead.
Rachel, you were the random person, except for as soon as you started talking to us, we're like, yeah, that's Rachel.
Oh, 100%. She said something about my tattoo, and I went, that's Rachel. Has to be. I didn't even turn around. That was 100% Rachel. So this was an awesome trip. I was gone for like 10 days, I think. By the end, I think I was gone for 10 days, that's the longest I've ever been away from my family in general. So it was like, dang. So I drove out to you first. I drove out to where you are in Western New York, and we hung out and got to work in your shop for the day, which every time I walk around my shop now, I'm like, this is trash. This is garbage. I'm just a peasant out here doing whatever. But no, that was super fun. You gotta, for everyone who isn't following Joe on other stuff like TikTok and everything like that, he does, and YouTube. You just put out a butcher shop walkthrough, right? So
an updated butcher shop tour. It's been a while, so I'm trying to get back into getting content. I tried playing with Opus Clip today, and it's not working again.
No, of course not. Gotta love it. And yes, Lisa Robinson says, the pony's still alive when you got home? Unfortunately, yes. Like, I probably had 4 people, like, before I left, was like, you want us to take care of that horse for you? I was like, no. That is the last thing I need, is for her to find this horse dead while I'm gone. Like, that's the last thing I need. Although one of the people who offered does run the excavator across the street. So I guess it would have taken care of itself, really.
Break through the fence, make it look like he just ran off.
Yeah. Gone. No trace.
I don't know, Kyle. That horse has it so good at your place, you could probably cut a hole in the fence and he'd still stay there.
I don't think, I haven't tested his fence in months. It could be dead. He kicked up a wire, which I'm trying to figure out. Like, I had a buried wire, and where he stands in that corner, he's just excavated all that area. So there's been some buried electric wires there for the fences. And I went out the other day, and one was just loose halfway into the paddock, and I'm like, okay, so this could either be fine or this could really suck for me.
Yeah,
and because one of them is a ground line. And the other one is the old power line to the pig paddock before I put it on its own thing. So I'm looking at the depth of where they are, and I'm like, I think that's the pig one. I think we're good. And I was walking past it the other day, because I didn't even cut it yet. I just literally just took it and just slung it over the side of the fence. Like, I'll deal with you later. And I'm walking past the other day and all I hear is click, click, click. And I'm like, the power one's not hooked up. So more than likely that's my ground line. So I literally have no idea what the power is to the fence right now.
Huh.
Because I don't have anything in the pig paddock. So I'm like, not too worried about it. But yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately, he is still alive. But no, it was super fun working with you. We had multiple conversations about it where it's like, we've known each other for over a year now.
Yeah.
Year and a half over that. But it's like we've been doing the podcast for a year. And we've obviously chatted back and forth about how we do things, like the way we do stuff. So it was super cool to like, for me to just jump in. It's like, all right, I'm working with you for the day. And it's like, yeah, let's see how this shit goes.
No, it was a lot of fun because you have a little bit of a different style on things. I have a little bit of a different style for breakdowns. And then Earl, he's got a little bit different style. So we just the three of us kind of just flowed and worked together, and it worked out. It worked fantastic, really well. Actually.
Yeah. Which we got to give a shout out to Earl and Jill because they're fantastic. Yes. I miss them. I really do. Anytime they want to come to New Hampshire, let me know. Help. No, you lucked out super good with them. They are absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, they've been awesome.
What did Lisa say about the pony? Once he is gone, I will set you a GoFundMe for your wife for a new pony. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She wanted to get another horse, and I settled for a donkey. And I was like, I don't want another horse. I don't want another donkey, but I know I'm not going to win this argument. With the expansion things I would like to do to the pigs, I know I'm not getting away with it scot-free.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm going to try and hold off and be like, listen, in the spring, because I've already set the cap at we can get a donkey, but it has to be a baby. Like, we're getting a baby donkey. I'm not getting a donkey that's been set in his ways and is an asshole. Like, we're going to get a baby donkey so we can do with it what we please, like train it how we want, and also get hours upon hours of TikTok content off of it.
That's what I was just going to say. Just imagine the Shrek and Donkey skits you could do with him in red, or it in red.
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So, yeah. It is what it is. He's here. But no.
Yes, Pip. It was definitely Kyle's jealousy that led him to steal my coffee mug.
That was it. That's not the only thing I stole. I still haven't put the other things I've stolen from you on TikTok.
No, we have to do the one I was talking to you about the other night. I got to order one.
I'll have to look back. I forget. We'll talk after. we share so many random ones that it's like,
yeah.
But yeah, no. So then it was cool working with you that day, and then I started back down, made it to Tennessee at like, I think I got there like 9:30 on Wednesday.
I was gonna say it was pretty late.
It was late. It sucked. That was like a 14-hour day in the car.
Well, you got hung up in that accident and in the road work.
There was a car accident in Kentucky on top of construction, which I was sitting in traffic for like an hour. And it's like, normally I don't really care, but I had to piss so bad. Like, I had to piss so bad, I got whatever the equivalent of racist is for a dead guy. Like, I saw smoke at one point round the hill. I'm like, I hope he didn't make it. Obviously, I hope he made it. But obviously, I drove past. He didn't make it. Sorry to his family if you watch the show. I don't know. But yeah, so we got there like 9:30 and then ended up going over to Tim's on Thursday and worked over there and got to see everybody. So that was super cool. And then you guys got to the Airbnb pretty much right after I got back.
Yep.
Which was the most adorable Airbnb on the planet.
It was a very nice Airbnb.
Preface the little. It was a tiny house.
It was.
But I did not fit in. The second I walked through the door, I smacked my head on the door frame. The literal second, I was like, "Oh, this is how this week's gonna go." Like,
Hopefully nobody ever gets killed there because they're going to find your scalp DNA all over
Everywhere.
that place.
Everywhere. Yeah, scalp. That's what we're talking.
I wasn't going to go there, Kyle.
Why? We're past 10 minutes. Who cares? I already said shit in the first 2. It's not like we're getting paid off this.
Yes, Jeremiah, it was my size place. It was perfect. I could even touch the ceiling.
You, Danae, and Zach fit perfectly. Yeah.
The loft was pretty small, though.
The loft was ridiculous. So there was a queen size bed and then a loft with 2 they were actually really nice mattresses, like twin mattresses on the floor. So obviously, I'm not going to take the queen size bed when Joe and his wife are staying there as well.
Pregnant wife,
huh?
Kyle was nice enough to let me and my pregnant wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay in the queen size.
I'm not going to make them climb up the loft. And I'm an idiot, so I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I used to sleep on hardwood floors. This is fine. There's a mattress, perfect. To put it in perspective for everyone, essentially, this was just one of those bigger prefab sheds that they remodeled into a tiny house, which was perfect. Like, they did an amazing job with it. So think about the loft on that with a Gabriel roof. Yeah,
on a single-story shed.
Single-story shed. I had to literally army crawl to get into the bed. It was ridiculous.
Zach had to crawl across there to get in.
Zach had to crawl. And every single morning, I forgot that I was in a tiny house and smashed my head on the ceiling.
Literally, I would wake up. I had my alarm. Usually, I'd get up. I'd start brushing my teeth and stuff, and then you hear, "Oh, damn it."
Yeah, pretty much.
And then I'd laugh, and here comes Kyle down the ladder.
Yeah, pretty much. That was every day. And every time I stood up on the porch. Okay, I understand it's a tiny house. You can make the porch normal size.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that porch was...
I could touch the metal roofing in between the joists. Like my hat could touch it. So the joists were good. What were they, 2x6s, 2x8s?
2x6.
Yeah. Yeah, they were 2x6s. So every time I would just bash my head straight into them. So I got a concussion at SRF. And
yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I got
fantastic.
for my first year there. Well, of course, I get down there. The first day I wake up to leave, and I got super sick. Lost my voice, couldn't talk. Like I was struggling trying to talk. I'm actually really glad that Kyle was the one teaching the classes and I was just the assistant.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to talk fully because there's no way I would have made it through it. Because by the end of each day, I could not talk at all.
It was rough. At one point, and we'll get into Friday, but at one point, I don't know if it was Friday or Saturday, but you're like, God damn, this sucks. And I was like, hey, it could be worse. It's not like you drove 12 hours to a festival where you have to promote yourself.
Yeah.
You just looked at me like, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah, it was. And here I am, like, I'm meeting, I got to meet Rachel and Hunter and people that support us in all of our content. But not just that, like, I got to meet Brian and Toolman and Tim, and I got to meet Zach from American Homestead. I've watched his channel for 10 years or something like that. I didn't get a chance to talk to Bear because he was crazy, but Bear Independent was there. I wanted to go up and talk to him, and I'm looking like an idiot. It's like trying to fucking get out words, and everybody's like, "What? Huh?"
Yeah. No, that was unfortunate. When it started, I was like, "Oh no!" But no, we had a good day. We had the boot camp was on Friday. Joe wasn't going to mention the.
Hey, on the live that we were part of, Kyle and I both forgot.
We both.
It wasn't just me this time.
No. We both forgot. To be fair,
Brian saved our asses on that one.
To be fair, we were our minds were slightly other places. So if none of you have been to SRF, you absolutely need to go. It is a great experience. like if you're listening to me, more than likely listen to other people who are there. And it's a great chance to meet everyone. And just there's a whole bunch of classes. There's a whole bunch of things going on. It's absolutely fantastic. But being a presenter there, it's a marathon. It is an absolute marathon because like literally I'd call it laps where I'd go, all right, I'm going to go take a lap. And if I wasn't presenting or I wasn't doing a class of some kind, I would just walk the property, hit booths on my way by, and like every lap I'd have 3 or 4 people like stopping to talk to me or recognize me, which I got to say, everyone who listens to the show, like I had a handful of people come up and be like, oh, we'll listen to the show. They never comment. They never do anything. And I'm like, please comment. We'd love to have comments. We'd love to interact with you even if you're not in the live. But like, thank you to all of you that listen. Like the running joke was people would be like, oh, we listen to the podcast. I'm like, oh, you're one of the 38 people that download it. But honestly, it is awesome to have you guys. It's awesome to meet everyone in person. It's super cool. But
we had quite a few people pop in that said they listened to the podcast and they talked to us quite a bit throughout the weekend. It was, I don't know, it was a really cool experience. And just getting to meet all of our, for me, the first time meeting all of you guys, all of my internet friends, you know, the weird, you can't meet people on the internet and then go meet up with them in person.
Right.
But you and Brian and Toolman Tim and Zach Trioaks, it was really cool. Just actually sitting down and hanging out with all you guys. And Rachel, she was there all weekend, hanging out with us in our booth and just going and doing her own thing. And, you know, she lives up to she talks just as much shit in person as she does here on our podcast.
Absolutely. Rachel is Rachel, 110%. But no, and that's where it's nice to have the booth again, because it is like a nice base camp. But literally, I'd just be doing my laps, and then I'd hide for 15 minutes in the booth and just chain smoke cigarettes. Like, fuck.
And it was so hot.
It was
holy cow. Going from up here to down there, the heat difference.
It was rough.
It was awesome because that kind of gave for me. It gave me that last little feel of summer before we came home because that next week it was 50s the whole week here.
Oh, I have frost every morning now.
Yep.
So I will say the one thing, my tan lines on my head, they got way darker. The South was not a friend to me. That fucking
you need to do one of those Vikings of Valhalla TikToks and use that as your warrior helmet.
I absolutely do. That is a fantastic idea. But no, so we had the work day that day, or not the work day, the boot camp. So there was, I think it was about 15 people took that class, and it was super cool. They started the day with me. We processed rabbits. And we had a couple of volunteers come up and learn how to do it themselves, like get hands-on with it.
Yep.
And then they moved to like a primitive cooking class on how to cook those rabbits. And then just throughout the day, a ton of different permaculture classes and everything, which rounded up with a roundtable like Q&A.
Yeah.
I felt so big in my britches sitting up there. So to put it in perspective, it was on this side of me, Chuck Peoples, me, John Willis, Jack Spearco, Nicole Sauce, and then Tim, I'm sorry I forget your name, but he was the permaculture expert that was there for us. And we had a hour and a half Q&A with these 15 people. And that was, I had a moment where I remember because I was just like, all right, cool. Like we're going for it. And then I just kind of did like a look around, and I remember looking up and making eye contact with you and just being like, you were just back there like, I don't know.
No, it was really cool seeing you guys just answering questions and stuff. And there was questions that I wanted to ask, but I could not speak. There's no way I was going to speak up from behind everybody. And I didn't pay for the class. I went to help you teach the rabbit class. So I just kind of got to hang out and enjoy the behind the scenes type stuff. So it was really cool. And you killed it. Like, you answered every question you had your opinion in on.
Yeah.
And you talked probably 60% of the time.
Yeah.
Out of the group.
Big shock, everybody. I talked a lot. But no, I mean, it was super cool. And it was like, I remember saying this in the Q&A, because again, it was normal questions like, how do I start a homestead? How do I start doing content? How do I start? And it was like, I said this at one point. This wasn't what I was going to say, but I was like, I feel bad because I feel like this entire Q&A is just 6 people yelling at you, just do it. Like, you just got to do it.
Quit being a fucking pansy and just do
right,
it.
Just do it. But like, one of the examples I gave was last year at SRF, me and my wife bought a ticket and went down. I did a pig demonstration there after 5 months of doing content, knowing people, like meeting all of my imaginary internet friends for the first time, knowing people, networking myself, putting myself out there and trying to like figure it out. So I went from that last year to this year being like, and while I was there talking to him, I'm like, I'm up here with these folks. Like, you guys are asking me questions and we're trying to figure this out. Like, to put it in perspective, this year, last year I did that one pig demo and that was pretty much it. And the rest of the week was me kind of walking around and doing stuff. This year we did 2 rabbit demos, a sheep slaughter, and which we will get into that for sure. A sheep slaughter, and then a sheep breakdown. So we did 4 butchering classes. I did 2 other panels, and like, I'm pretty sure 1 other speaking thing. So it was like, I didn't stop all weekends. So that's why, like, that Sunday, I was like, I literally just lost myself and just sat on the porch for 45 minutes in silence, because I'm like, I can't fucking talk anymore to people. Like,
yeah, it was, because we went inside to talk to the kids and you just sat down out there and just chilled out.
Yeah, it was nice. But no, so that night tryouts came up. Zach, he's not in here. He's at the Halloween party at the zoo. But he'll listen later. Yeah, well, come on.
Loser.
No, paying attention to
who spends time with their family?
What are you even talking about? But no, so he came up and that was fantastic. It was great meeting him. Again, it's like all of these worlds colliding of just like, oh no shit. Like, it's great to have you here. So they came. So I guess we'll start the sheep story, because that is how Saturday started.
Yeah.
So I was asked, I was asked to do a sheep slaughter, like demo.
Last minute.
And we figured it out, but I brought everything. I brought everything down with me that I needed, because even though I was just doing rabbits, I brought everything. Because I'm like,
luckily you did too, because you didn't find out until you were already in Tennessee.
Oh yeah. So I was like, worst case scenario, I have an extra table. I'll just lay all my stuff out and explain it to people, what I have and why I have it.
Yep.
Perfect. So we did a sheep slaughter. And obviously we asked the normal questions of like, when you're a butcher, especially doing farm stuff, it's like, how friendly are they? How close can I get to them? Are they food motivated? What are we doing?
Yep.
And they were like, they're not too friendly and they don't really come up. And I'm like,
yep.
So what do we have? And I remember, like, for firearms wise, and I remember someone saying, what do you want? Because you have to remember where, like, I forgot where I was for a moment of just like, what I have for a selection. So what was brought to me Saturday morning was a suppressed 40 cal Glock and a suppressed 300 blackout.
Yep.
So we were making the joke. I'll say this after. What I will say is it was fantastic working with you in this scenario. So to put everyone in the room, to put everyone there for a moment, take an adventure with me, if you will. The sheep are in a gated off area in the back of the property. That
it's probably a couple acre pasture.
It's a couple acre pasture.
Yeah.
That everyone who is attending the festival, who's camping, is camping in.
Tent camping.
That's tent camping.
In this couple acre field wooded lot.
So we go, all right, we'll figure it out. We went out the day before, tried to get as close to him as we could, and it's like more than likely we're going to have to use the 300 blackout. We'll see once we bring grain in. It might be easier, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So we get in there the first day. Nicole came by and said, just so you know, I told all the families with kids that if they don't want to see this, come back into, like, get out of there. So I'm like, okay, like, sounds good. So I grabbed the 40 cal first, and I'm like, I'm interested to see if they come to grain. If they come to grain, fantastic. We'll just pop it, done, is what it is. So, and we talked about this after the fact. As soon as I walked up with the grain, I knew they weren't coming. And you said the same thing from a distance. You're like, they're not coming. And you told me.
Yeah, I looked right at him and I was like, you might want to just go get the 300. He's probably going to need it.
Yeah. And then I walked back and I was like, I need it. He was already halfway gone. I was like, all right. Yeah. So if we wait for that, we were making jokes the night before. It's like, well, at least we're not going to have to cut the head off because it'll already be gone. It'll be great. So I'm lined up on this thing. Never fired it before, ever. Like, with a red dot sight. And I was like, good, great. This is going to be fun. I was probably only 15 feet away from it.
Yeah.
But again, where it was nice working with you, you're an experienced butcher that's been around livestock a long time and understands how to move them.
Yep.
Like, if it was just a random person that I pulled from the festival to be like, hey, help me corral these, they would have been gone. Like,
yeah. So when Kyle came back to get the 300 blackout, they gave it to him. He started walking around, and I'm watching how they're behaving while Kyle's trying to get in a position where he could safely take a shot, because we're on the backside. We're behind all the tents, but you only have one way you can shoot. It's kind of like a swampy area on the other side.
And there was a pond and there was a berm. So it was like, it was safe to shoot that direction, but it's still like, there are so many factors at play on this.
Yeah.
That it needs to go perfect.
So I see Kyle trying to get in a position. They're not coming any closer, and I'm watching him slowly work away. So he kind of come over to cut him off, and I was already walking around to cut them back off. And Kyle's like, you going over to cut him off? I'm like, yep. And that's just, we didn't really even have to talk. We already knew what we were going to do without having to discuss a plan.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get lined up for the shot, and they're all huddled together, and they're not really, we were doing it was probably a 3-year-old ram.
Yeah.
Around a 3-year-old ram.
Yeah, at least.
And I remember, like, one of the vivid things I remember is, like, I'm trying to take a shot, and I'm lined up, and I just go, hey, Joe, push a minute. And you knew exactly what I meant. You meant that, like, you knew that meant walk 3 feet forward, so they walk 3 feet forward. Not to throw, like, again, like, if it was just a random person and I was like, hey, block them off, their push would have been, I'm going to run at these things, and they're going to go that way.
Yeah. So that was nice. So I get lined up directly behind the ear to take the shot at a bit of an angle. I'm like, all right, this is going to go good. Perfect. Well, that little bastard take like a quarter step back as I pulled the trigger, and nothing happened. And I was like, which also, literally there was no reaction, and it was so quiet. I was questioning if you actually shot or if it was something else. You were making the joke because he didn't react. Like, press 300 blackout, right? It's going to be just as loud as my freaking 45 firing off. Like, silent. It was like stepping on a stick. That's how quiet this thing was, which was good, like, for the scenario we were currently in. Because I'm looking at it and I'm like, did I miss? Please tell me I missed. Because in that scenario, you want to miss. Like, if you miss, you want to miss. And I did not. It took about a quarter step back, and it was probably about 1.5 inches off of where I originally was aiming.
And I'm looking at it, and I don't see blood. I don't see anything. It turned the other way, so I could see the other side, nothing. And then it turned back, and there was just one stream of blood pouring down the side of it. And I was like, shit, okay. Because then it goes into, and we talked about this at the time, and again, why I'm very glad you were there, of just like, when you miss a shot, it's not a level of fear or nervousness or like it's
not,
all in there, but that's not how it comes out. It comes out as, all right, it's go time. Like there's no time to be nervous. There's no time to screw around. This needs to get done. It needs to get done now because now
it's not panic mode. It's you got an injured animal,
right?
You need to take care of it and take care of it as soon as possible because we've both been in those scenarios on the farm slaughters where you put a bad shot on something on accident, something moves, something it gets spooked because of, usually it's because the farmer or somebody else is trying to be helpful.
Right.
And then it's all hell breaks loose. They're running all over the place.
So I get relined back up, and this Zach tells it the best because Zach saw it because we were in it. So it's like we can tell it from that perspective. Zach tells it like cinematically because he was 10 feet behind us watching the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so essentially I kind of get relined back up. They start to move a little bit. I follow them. And I see you throw a hand, which again, you're not running at them. You're not.
All I wanted to do was spin them so they were looking at you.
And I could see it was starting to turn. So I started to get down and crouch, and I probably had it here. And I saw it my eye was not in the scope yet. And I remember just hearing you go, Kyle. And I just went, yup, and just dropped it. And it was like,
yep.
But again, listening to Zach hear it, Zach tell it in his just southern twang.
Yeah.
Freaking hysterical. He's like, all of a sudden I heard us here, Kyle. I don't know. I'm not going to do this because I'm just making him sound like my gay stuff.
But it went smoothly and seamlessly, and we didn't have a plan at all.
No,
we just as soon as you took that first shot and I looked at the sheet, it didn't react, and I looked over at you, and we kind of looked at each other, and I could tell that you seen that you hit it.
Yeah, and it was the eye contact of go time.
Yep. And you resituated yourself as soon as I seen the whole group kind of spun and they were starting to come towards me again. I just stepped closer to the fence. I threw my hand up to get them to spin back towards you, and it was just perfect timing.
Again, it felt like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It might have been 30 seconds.
Yeah, it wasn't very long at all.
In the moment, though, it feels like you're there for an hour. It's awful.
That was one tough freaking sheet. Even after we stuck it, it still didn't want to die.
Yeah. That wasn't fun.
No, it was not. It was not fun at all because we got people there that are trying to learn. And it's just it was worst case scenario, but at the same time,
yeah, go ahead.
They get to see that that's the reality of it. It doesn't always go perfectly. Yeah, even with seasoned butchers, and we frequently do on the farms. It's not like we're only in our shops. We frequently do on the farm slaughters, and the way you're slaughtering still replicates that for the most part. Even in the trailer, they don't hold still. They're in there. They got room to move around.
Of course.
I mean, I'm fortunate. I got to squeeze shoot now and stuff, but I did a on the farm slaughter this week. Didn't go as planned.
I don't hate doing them because every time I do them, they're a bit of an adventure. It's all right, we're doing something different. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love them though. One that always comes to mind for me that worked out well, which was good. It was about 40 minutes from here to York crosses in an old paddock that the people had found on the property that they pieced back together. It was 20 by 15. It wasn't big. Or it might have been 30 by 20. It wasn't huge, but it was still enough, and they were big pigs.
Yeah.
And you put big pigs in an area like that, it's just mud soup to hear. The first one was fine. Obviously, it's like, hey, look, grain, bang, done. It's always the second one, or the second or the last one. Like, it's always that one that's a problem. And it just wasn't coming up. So I had to climb into the paddock with the 410 and make a shot. And it's, again, there's people, like, the customers are there. They're watching me. Obviously, it's their property. And I'm trying to make a shot on this pig that has done this 37 times while I've been in there. And again, it is pretty much like aim, pink, just drop it. And it was very similar situation of like, I just caught it mid-turn. Like, I let it enough where I was like, it's going to turn now, and just dropped it. And the customers were like, it was a guy and his neighbor. They were raising the pigs together. And I just hear them go, Jesus Christ. How did you do that? And I'm sitting there and go, it's part of the job. And in my head, I'm going, I have no fucking idea. Like,
since I've been back, I've done three on the farm slaughters.
Yeah.
I had 2 massive steers, and these things are always wild. I know the farmer, and he had them in a pen. Pen was too muddy to get into. Kind of the bedding pack was getting soft because we had a fair amount of rain there for a bit.
Right.
And he's like, I can't get in there with the skid steer to get him out. He's got just a wheeled one. And he was trying to push him out into this alleyway. And I was trying to get him to stop. I was like, why don't we just shoot him in the pen, drag him out with the chain into the dry alley? Well, by that time, he made up his mind they were coming out. Yeah. I almost got ran over by the first one. It cleared the gate, ripped the top bar off the gate. I got the second one stopped. I'm hooting and hollering. I've got my 25-06.
Oh,
That thing spun because this alleyway is between 2 barns. So there's a barn on the right side that they came out of, and then there's a big barn on the left-hand side. That thing spun around and ran straight through that wall of the barn. 2x6s and all, just ran straight through it, never stopped. So I take 2 steps back and I lean back like this, and the big red one stopped, and it looked at me, and it went to like turn and run again. And I was like, and it turned and looked at me real quick, and I just leaned back and dropped it. And then the big black one just cleared it. He had an 8-foot tall chain link gate to hold him in the barn. Just ripped that thing right down, get out in the pasture. So we get the red one stuck, get it loaded in the dump trailer, and we're like, well, let's go out in the pasture and just see. They're pretty wild. So I'm riding on the front forks of this skid steer, and the whole herd just starts coming to us. It couldn't have been any better. Well, they noticed that I was on the front and not a round bale. So I'm trying to sit on the forks of the skid steer with my rifle, and I rushed the shot, completely missed. I'm glad that I completely missed, but it just sucks because it's like his herd they might have come in closer, but there's a good chance that they were going to turn and run when they all stopped, and that's why I rushed the shot. I'm just glad that I didn't injure anything. And then I did, and on the farm went flawlessly. Like, he's like, all right, I've never raised pigs before. I don't know what to do. I was like, it's too muddy in there. I don't want to climb in there to bleed them because it's going to get inside, the cut and everything. He had panels there, set the panels out, opened up the gate, threw some apples in. They walked out. And I was like, you good? He goes, yep. Popped one, reached in through the panel, stuck it, leaned over, popped the other one, stuck it. And he goes, that's it? And I was like, that's it. We'll wait till they stop kicking and load them on the trailer, and we're good to go. He goes, oh. He's like, you made that look easy. I said, it's not always like that.
No. And that is something that I was talking to my neighbor about it the other day, or yesterday, where it's like, not to blow smoke up our own asses, we make it look easy.
Yes.
Like, it looks like, oh, this is it? That's fine. Which, at a base level, yes, that's all it is. That is absolutely all it is. That you could get very lucky and just walk in as a random person who's never done it before and get a flawless slaughter. 100%. But to repeat it over and over and over again in different scenarios, that is where it's like, yeah, like, just the thought of, again, going back to the sheep, where it was like, just the fact that all you knew you had to do was just this,
Yeah.
it would get them to turn instead of just full panic run at them. That somebody who had never done it before would probably have done.
Yeah.
It's just learning those little things.
Yeah. And I mean, I want to say slaughtering, the biggest thing that I've taken from it is I learned a ton of patience.
Oh yeah.
Doing on the farm slaughters. Regular slaughters in a knock box, you still have to be patient because they still thresh, they still move. But on the farms, after you injure that first animal, your first animal you injure on the farm and you're chasing around and it's a super stressful thing, you learn that you wait and take the best shot possible.
The first peg I ever did for the shop, 6 shots.
Yeah.
6 shots with a 22.
Oh,
it was awful.
Hence why we use the 45 now, right?
Sure is.
Hey, I honestly, I don't knock you for doing it. If I did slaughtering all the time like you do, and I couldn't get like a steady shot with that 22 meg, my 45's in the shop all the time. Yeah. That's my backup gun.
Yeah.
Because
I don't care anymore. I don't care. Yeah. People, oh, you do 22 meg. It's like, yeah, okay. Do you do it for a living? Oh, you do?
Exactly.
Fantastic. I don't care. Like, you do your thing, I'll do mine.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? We're getting the same result. And also, guess what? I haven't gotten the same result, even with a 45. So it's like, it happens. It's not a matter of caliber. Yes, you can absolutely do it with a 22. I've seen it done 1,000 times. I get it. I know. This is what I'm comfortable with. It's what I'm using. So to jump back in, this was a bit of a rough day for at least me when it came to demos like this. So we got that sheep slaughtered. We got it broken down into a cooler and everything. Jack Spearco came and gave me a hand with it. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we did the last of our rabbit classes. So in retrospect, and the next time I do it, if they have me do rabbits again, I'm only showing the pull method. I don't know why I felt the need to show the bludgeoning method. It's just what I do. So I'm like, all right, like I might as well be like, this is what you should do. This is what I do. Kind of thing. First day went off flawlessly.
Yes.
Went off without a hitch. And the second day, the first one went flawlessly because it was the pull method where you stick the head under just a bar
or whatever.
And yank up on it, which is what I was telling everyone. This is what you should do. But this is what I do just for reference. And I whacked this thing. And I remember the silence. And I remember looking at it and going, should I hit it again? Because it didn't react the way I really
normally do.
But then it also wasn't screaming. So I'm like, okay, nope, we're good. Because I remember looking at you too. And you had the same look on your face of like,
yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like, it's not screeching.
No. So I'm like, all right. So we get it hung up. I'm answering questions. A woman goes, how do you know if you did it wrong? And I'm like, the silence, it's dead. It's not screaming. If it's alive, it will scream. It will be screaming and you'll 100% know. As I'm saying this, I'm grabbing my boning knife to remove the noggin. I have a hold of the ears, and the second the blade reaches the back of its neck, it just goes, it like starts to scream. And I just put every ounce of muscle I possibly could behind that blade and just went shook and just took the head completely off.
It couldn't have been any more perfect.
Silence. You could have heard a pin drop. Just utter silence. And I looked at the crowd and I was like, so that's how you don't do it. Or I think I said something like that. I'm just like, so that's the wrong way.
And Rachel got it all on video.
No, she sure did. But yeah, so that was interesting. The small children that were in the front row were no longer in the front row after that.
No,
And,
they stayed for about a couple more minutes, and then them and their mom just kind of.
But again, it was I feel as though I handled it correctly. At
Yes.
least, like, one, how it happened, but two, how I recovered from it. Of just like, hey, gang, I do this for a living. Obviously not rabbits, but I've done an ungodly number of them. Like, I know how to process rabbits. It happens. This will happen. If you don't think it's going to happen, don't start, because it's going to happen and it's going to scar you for life. But no, so we got those rabbits done, and that was all set. And then we had, or go ahead.
No, I was just it. You did go about it correctly. Like you just kind of, the way you transition and be like, okay, that's not the way it's supposed to go. I apologize.
Lots
then,
of apologies.
You apologized a couple times, but you're like, at least you guys got to see here in person what can happen if you don't do it right. And unfortunately, it's fortunate and unfortunate they had to see that, but I feel like it gave them the full experience, because then they didn't go home full of all this confidence. And the first one they do, it happens, and they're like, oh my God, what happened? Like, I'm never doing this again. They know that it happens to everybody.
Which the video from right before that, of me talking about how hard to hit it. So I had again, I knew I was doing these speaking things, and I kind of had some scripted stuff written, and I was explaining how hard to hit the rabbit. And my explanation was, I don't want you to just hit this rabbit. I want you to hit this rabbit like it owes your sister back child support and it just bought a boat. Like, that is the level. And I posted it on TikTok. It's at I think it's at 250,000 views.
Nice.
I'm still now it's entered the second round where all the haters are popping in. And I'm like,
oh yeah,
I don't care. That's not the correct way. And I was like, okay. Ironically, you don't know what happened directly after that video, but yeah. But yeah, so that was a good day. And then again, just running around after that. I think we did the content panel that day, me and Brian.
Yep. We did the live that day in that freaking outrageously hot tent.
Yes. The content tent was aggressively hot. Because again, it was 95 degrees both days, at least 95 degrees both days. But no, so that was good. And then you guys went back to the Airbnb. I stayed for the VIP dinner that they had, and they had a fucking fantastic meal, everything farm to table. I did end up leaving early. I was freaking exhausted, but apparently they had some stand-ups from Nashville coming in and do a comedy thing. So I missed that, but I was still okay, I'm done. I remember looking at Tim, I was like, I gotta get out of here. I'm freaking exhausted. I was like, yeah, go for it. So, and then we had an awesome night. Just again, you, me, and Zach just hanging out by the fire. I think all of us at one point were like, I don't remember the last time I've done this.
Yeah. So as soon as we got back, me and Zach built up a fire and we just chilled there and talked until you came back, and then you came out, and no, it was a fun night. It was good. Yeah.
And then we had the sheep butchering class on Sunday.
Yep.
So that went about as well as it could have gone, I feel like.
Yeah, again, doing it with just hand tools, it's tough,
Hand tools on plastic tables.
Yeah, and you're taller than I am, and I don't like cutting on those things.
No. So, and again, it was also 87 degrees by 7 a.m. It was ridiculous.
Full sun.
So, but we got those broken down into subprimal cuts, I'd say. They weren't full primals. I broke them down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was a decent class. And then again, it was just the final day. So everyone is running around, legitimately just running around, trying to get everything done at the last minute, see the final people they want to see. But again, it's also super cool because, again, all of these people you've met over the weekend, now they walk by and they're like, hey, how's it going? Like, hey, what's going on? So, but yeah, no, we had a super fun time. And this year for me was definitely a lot different, just on how I'm perceived there. Like, my running joke is like, I guess I'm a little more famous than I thought I was. I'm obviously not famous in any way, shape, or form, but I felt like it by the end of that weekend. Like, for the number of people that knew me, wanted to talk to me, wanted to do content with me, and like want to include me. I'll tease it. I'm not going to say anything about it, but like the caliber of people that want me to now be a part of their world, their class.
Kyle got a fair amount of really cool offers, and we started joking of
the
Body Shop Mobile.
Mm-hmm. So there could be some cool things coming in that direction soon. Again, nothing's final yet. I think everyone's is just starting to finally get over SRF to sit down and plan stuff out. But again, just Jack Spirko knowing me on a first name basis, like I knew Kyle before his head got big. Yeah, I know. Listen, I am trying to preface this with I'm trying not to have a big head about this, but it's weird. Like I probably had 15 people be like, "You're the Backwoods Butcher. I recognize your voice."
Yeah.
What? Like John Willis, the first day we were there, come up, shook my hand. Good to see you. What's going on? We'll figure something out later. Like we'll meet up later. We'll figure something out. Jack Spirko coming up again, first name basis, helped me out with slaughter, like helping out with the slaughters cool. And like just hanging out, chatting a bunch.
And it's funny because like even with Jack Spirko, everybody's like, yeah, he's so busy. He's kind of like a hard guy to like just go up and talk to. You kind of go up and he's just like goes off. He come up and he's talking to you, and then he comes over and you're teaching class, and me and him are just talking like,
yeah, he's super.
I've never met him before. He's just talking to me like, hey, what's going on? It was just really cool. Even John, same thing. Yeah, you got to do that interview with him. They let me sit in on it in the background and just watch it, which was super cool. You nailed that one. Yeah. And then he came out and he talked to me right after, which was, everybody was super down to earth. That's what I really liked about it. Yeah. Like everybody just talked and got along, and it was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that first day, John came up after we finished the rabbits. He probably stayed for the last 2/3 of the class and watched everything. And then after, like I said, came up, shook my hand. Good to see you. Didn't even realize it was you till halfway through. Like, how's everything going? Everything good? You get here all right? And we were chatting for a minute. He's like, well, meet up with me at some point this weekend. I want to record something. Like, we'll get something recorded. I'm like, okay. So it's Sunday. It's the very end. The car's loaded. Like, and we're all hanging out. And Danae is like, so what are we doing? And we're like, you go ahead. Like, I still want to see this happen. I told both of you, I was like, get out of here. Like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here. If I'm going to be here, I might be right after you. And you're like, no, I'll stay. And yes, Lisa, you have been watching me since I was a baby content creator, for sure, on the old Renegade Butcher podcasts. So we were kind of looking for John for a little bit. He was recording a ton of podcasts that day. So he was already in there doing stuff, and I met up with his wife, and I was like, hey, John said he wanted to record something. If he's busy, I get it. She's like, nope, stay. Like, stay here. If he said he wants to record something with you, he wants to record something with you. So we hung out for a minute, went over to the podcast thread, and he came out. And I was like, hey, I gave him a shirt. So I was like, hey, I wanted to give this to you. Thanks for having us. It was great. I know you said you wanted to record something. If you have time, I'm here. If not, I get it. We can figure out something for like a StreamYard recording or whatever. He's like, give me 5 minutes. Went inside, grabbed something to eat, grabbed his camera guy, and like was like, yeah, come on in. You came right in and you sat. It was probably like a 20-minute, half-hour interview. Like
something like that.
I kind of blacked out for half of it because I was like, what am I doing here? I don't know. I don't know where it's coming out. I keep meaning to text him, and I more than likely when he goes live tonight, I'll jump in and ask where it's coming out. If it's going to be on YouTube or Patreon, I'm not sure. So, but yeah,
No, that was a good interview. He's an excellent
he is a
interviewer.
fantastic interviewer.
He just right off the top of his head, he's just spitting out like just questions after questions. So
and good,
it was really cool to watch.
Because there are people that will send out question after question after question, and get nothing from it because it's like you didn't ask the question right.
Yes,
and he's an absolutely fantastic interviewer. I hope it's going out on YouTube, because I'm interested to see it. Because like I said, I think I blacked out about halfway through of like, this is nuts. I'm sitting at the, because he has a big boy podcast set up. I have my laptop currently sitting on 3 boxes of what is this? Mother's milk tea to help breastfeeding. That's why you're at the height you're at right now. He has a full mixing board, microphones, headphones, all of it. So it took me a good
camera guy, an actual guy that's running the camera.
Yeah, it took me a good 5 minutes to settle into just hearing me in my ears as I'm talking. I'm just like, oh shit, this is okay. This is real shit. But no, it was a super fun interview. Got some good jokes in there and like had him laughing, which is good. That was one thing. Like, again, at this point, I've just kind of accepted that this is my path in life of just like, I'm just going to be the funny guy who kills shit. And that's what I like. That's what makes me laugh and makes me smile, is making other people laugh. So I got some good jokes in there. And we talked about my wife's horse for about 15 minutes, I feel like.
It was brief, but yeah, you did.
But Kyle I wish this was less true. Kyle spends his evening watching himself. The amount of times I am medicated on the couch, but again, it's not to like, oh, that's me doing cool stuff. It's
editing,
watching the comments, watching the likes, watching the engagement. But again, it then leads me to just be sitting there watching myself. I watch myself on TikTok more than I watch other people's TikToks because I'm posting 5 to 6 times a day. So just bouncing around all of them, it's like,
and you're trying to keep interactions with all of them because the more you interact with your audience, the more views you get and the more it gets out there. I feel like,
which I will absolutely say, as far as content goes, we got a good amount of content out of it, and my stuff got boosted like crazy. I gained probably like 3,000 followers while I was down there on TikTok. I gained no followers on YouTube whatsoever.
I've gained since SRF, and we were doing the couple collabs and stuff that we did. Well, right before that, I had a huge boost.
Yeah,
on TikTok, I had that one video that kind of went crazy, and I was kind of riding on that, and then jumping in on doing some of the funny stuff with you kind of helped. But I'm just shy of 800 now, and I think the week before SRF, I was at 460 or something.
Yeah, no, you got to.
So I mean, it's not a lot, but it is for me. It's cool seeing it grow like that. But I'm trying to get more stuff back out on YouTube. Trying to get more shorts and stuff put out. And I'm slowly starting to gain again on over on YouTube. I just got to be more consistent with it.
I know, me too.
It was the bikinis for sure.
It was the bikinis for sure.
I went and got my hair cut and my beard trimmed today. And I was telling my barber about it, and I showed them, and they were laughing. They're like, yeah, we got to follow you guys. I was like, yeah, definitely go over and follow.
I get home and Nicole goes, hey, dummy, did you forget to pull the belly button lint out of your fucking belly button before? And I went, never even looked. Not once. Went back and looked at it. 100%.
I got to look to see if I had lint.
No, I definitely do. As soon as you said something, I was like,
I never even noticed.
Nope, sure didn't. If you need more shorts on YouTube, call Zach. Well, he doesn't. Joe doesn't need any help with shorts.
No,
he's fine. Again, I'm more long form. So, but no. And then after that, we left the next day, drove home, worked with you in the shop. Slaughtering for a day, which was way more fun. I like cutting, but slaughter days are so much fun. We had a
And we hammered it too.
We sure did.
And I unintentionally burned Kyle, which I didn't know either. In my favor, I did not know until that morning. Kyle agreed to come help me slaughter, and I ended up with 2 lambs, and then somehow we ended up with a Highlander that was killed and brought to us.
How'd that one break down, by the way?
That's this week coming up.
Oh, okay. I'm interested. Pictures, please. But yeah, no. So that was super fun. And again, working with your employees is just awesome. And I feel I was just corrupting them the entire time.
They're great. I mean, I was just talking to a bunch of new customers today that are bringing their animals for the first time, and it's just going to keep growing from here. Like the business itself is just, it's exploding. I can't keep up. Like,
yeah,
I'm highly considering after we go USDA, we're probably going to need a secretary and probably 1 or 2 more people.
Yeah,
to keep up with the demand. And
that's awesome. I kept saying this, and I'm like, I feel weird saying this, but I'm so fucking proud of you because
I appreciate it.
We've been friends since before you had the shop.
Yeah,
and I've watched it grow from afar, and to then be in it and working it with you is like, that's fun. This is the coolest.
Yeah.
Shit. Like, again, the whole festival was great. The highlight for me, honestly, was working with you because it's like, this is the coolest shit. Like, because again, I'm not in that setting anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in my own small little shop and I do what I do. But again, to be tossing half steers on a rail and doing all this stuff, working with you is like, no, this is great. And I'm so proud of you.
And Kyle got medicated the one night and I was smoking hams. And that was the night that we were tossing beef around on the rail, and Kyle's like, man, this is an itch I didn't know I even had. And you were having such a good time in that cooler, and then we came out and I was like, oh, hams are done, you want to try it? You're like, yeah. And I cut a little chunk off the end of it and I gave it to you. You're like, oh my God. Oh,
the funniest part of that was I had said to you, I'm like, I'm at the perfect level of medicated right now. I'm having a great time. I'm tossing beef around the cooler. This is the shit. And then one of your friends showed up, and I very quickly went from I'm the perfect level of medicated to I am entirely too medicated to be around a stranger I don't know. Like, just full tunnel vision, like, didn't talk at all. Like, he laughed and I was like, that was fucked up. That was not good.
No, it was a lot of fun having you here, and I'm looking forward to being able to come up to your place because I'm going to get to the point the opposite of you.
You're going to want to do this.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, oh, this is such a relief to just take a step back and go back to how I started and how you're doing it. It's going to be, I know it's going to be like that when I finally get up to there to work with you. It's going to be like, yeah,
exactly.
Because we're just moving. So, I mean, fast paced. We caught 11 hogs and 7 beef this week.
Yeah, that's freaking nuts.
Yeah. And it's just, I did 4 pigs on the farm slaughter that are going to be cut this week. I've got 9 more pigs out in the barn right now and 5 beef in the barn. And I did that 1 beef on the farm slaughter. That was 1,075 hang weight beef.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, it's just, I'm moving so fast that those few moments I get to take a step back and actually look at it from like, it's like, holy crap. Yeah. This is
crazy.
My business. I built a good chunk of this with my own 2 hands, infrastructure wise, electrical. I did the septic system, the water. It's just, it's a whole different feeling, and how fast it's growing and coming along, and just the name. Like right before SRF, I went to a homestead festival the weekend before here in Western New York, and walk in there and they're like, "You're the new guy. Hey, you're the new guy. You're the new butcher.
Yeah.
like everybody. It was insane how much in it. I think there was 2 or 3 people there that recognized me not only as the new butcher, but from Blakesley Acres content.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And
it was kind of cool. I actually processed the guy's beef this week they picked up. There's another farm that's up north. They have a podcast, full disclosure farming.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to their stuff frequently. Well, that guy's son was on there for an interview and we got talking about that. So that was kind of cool, just on both sides of it. And it's like the community's coming together and just putting out the quality that we are and getting that feedback, not from just our customers, but I had a guy the other day. He's like, I'm raising pigs next year just to bring them to you guys, because he's like, I gave up raising pigs a couple years ago. I couldn't find anybody to do a good job. He's like, I've heard so many good things about your shop that I'm going to try raising pigs again next year just so I can bring them to you guys.
That's awesome. And it's a good feeling. Like, it feels good to hear that. Like, it feels good to have somebody say that to you. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So, no, that's freaking awesome. You mind going a little longer? We haven't been on for 2 weeks, so let's just keep hammering it. I'm cool. So, today, just to wrap that up, then I drove home the next day, and we've all lived happily ever after. We've had great fucking weeks getting back into the rhythm of things and running around.
Kyle and I are trying to do some controversial TikToks.
Yeah. About my thievery.
Yeah.
To be fair,
whose pig's bigger and
whose pig's bigger. Yeah. I conceded. Yeah. I didn't fight you on it.
That was a fun one.
It was a super fun one.
Everybody was getting into it too.
Yeah. And that's what you want. That's what you want it to be. Like, you want it to be fun for everyone.
Brian is very adamant about you steal my coffee cup.
He's super adamant. Oh, dude, there's plans in the works.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of things in the works.
Yeah, he went off the rails about it that first day. You didn't get to listen.
Oh, I listened to it after the fact. I went back and listened to it.
Yeah.
Wait till he sees me in your sweatshirt.
That's
which is gonna be like up to here on me. It's like
you have to do Fat Man and a Little Coke.
I know.
Soundtrack behind that one.
Absolutely.
Or do another one with it regardless. That's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah. But no, so today I was in the shop till like 9:30 last night. I had to grind all the sausage from the pigs I did, and I had a bunch of bears that I had to break down, grind. So I was in the shop late, and I just kind of walked out. I was like, I broke the grinder down, but I was like, I'm done. I'll clean everything in the morning. And I had the kids today, got them set up with the color and stuff and the tablets, and I'm like, all right, let's bust out some cleaning. Had multiple customers picking up today, and just kind of got everything scrubbed down. So we're walking back over. And all my neighbors at this point know that they all just bring all their food scraps over and just toss to the pigs. Like, they don't ask. They just like, here you go. So my neighbor does excavation and construction. So I was talking to him about, I have a second like standalone garage in this driveway has its own power, has everything to it, new metal roof. Thank you. Canadian Farmstead says, Kyle, you were doing a good job too. I need you to hear it, my friend. And me and my wife had talked about, like, if we turn it into a farm stand, like, it's going to cost more to like remodel it and like get it up to par for a farm stand than if we just tore it down and like just got one of the prefab sheds or something. So I had mentioned it to him. I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And I had also been like, hey, our frost-free hydrant like needs to be replaced. What's the process of that? How do we get that done and everything? Because again, they're absolutely fantastic. They help us out with everything. And they are a godsend to me, like in my family here on the farm. So they're walking over, they're giving Red snacks, and he walks over, he goes, hey, so I was doing some thinking. And he goes, walk with me. And I'm like, all right. And he goes, so I walked into your garage the other day. I hope you don't mind because I was sitting up all night thinking about why you wanted to take this down and what you could actually do with it. I was like, I don't care. That's fine. So we walk in, and again, it's probably 40 by 20. I think that's what we measured it out to. It's a decent sized garage, but it's
that's a nice sized building.
The floors aren't great. Like they just put new plywood down to like make it look like the floors are fine. Like I would never put a vehicle in it.
Yeah.
There's an old forge that's in there. Like it's rustic. Like it's more than likely original to the property. And
have a good night,
so, yeah, have a good one, buddy. So he goes, so do the pigs go in anywhere during the winter? And I was like, not usually. Like they have their shelters. And he goes, well, if we popped out this part of the floor, I could get in there with the skid steer, level all this out, and build a railing and stud the bottom. And that way you could have an area where the pigs could get into out of the weather, and you could keep all of your water and feed in here and be able to feed them inside over the winter and not have to deal with it. And I was like, I'm mad at you that I didn't think about this. So he's talking me through everything. He's like, we'll run some joists here, here, and here. And I'm like, okay, what's this? Like, how is this working out? And his wife just goes, I want those 2 big pieces of granite that we're going to have to pull out anyway. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So we're working it out. He's like, this is the equipment you need because if we're already going to dig up the frost-free hydrant to replace it, he's like, you might as well, while we have the mini here, run another frost-free hydrant into that barn. So you don't have to worry about that one. So yeah, it's not set in stone, but more than likely again, that's with everything to be done. That's probably a $10,000 job, not 10,000, but pretty high up there with all the excavation and lumber and all that stuff. And they're like, just buy the equipment or buy the 2 waters and the hose and give us those 2 pieces of granite and you're good. It's like, yeah, I should probably just jump on that opportunity and do that because again, it would be an absolute game changer. And then the second I started thinking about it, I'm like, okay, yeah, because now I don't even have to cut any holes in the fence. Yeah, the gate that I go in and out of the paddock in already, I can just put a fence on one side connecting to the building to the paddock that's existing, and around the other side, I don't have to plow that area out anymore because I can just open the gate. And if I would like to keep them in for, I don't know, farrowing, where they could have a nice inside building that I could put heat lamps in because everything's already wired, I can just close the gate behind them and leave them in there, which will again make castrating easy, which will make moving things easy. So it's like, all right, I think that needs to happen. So we're figuring out how that's going to work. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's going to be huge. So we'll see.
I wish I had facility to hold like 6 more sows right now.
Yeah. He goes.
I literally have in the last 2 weeks I've had 6 people ask me about piglets.
Yeah.
Because they seen from a couple of the piglets that I've sold the quality and stuff. I still think I think I'm gonna end up getting Herefords and some more Berkshire genetics this year.
Yeah.
Because I wish I had a full grown Hereford sow right now to breed Mr. Pig to. Just what he's thrown with those blue butts. I bet you those piglets would be freaking phenomenal.
Absolutely. No, that'd be great. Oh, and then the other thing I was like, hey, do you have any because he runs a sawmill and everything as well. And I'm like, I'd also be interested in some posts. And he walked up to the trees basically trees that I have as my posts. And he goes, about this tall, about this wide. And he goes, I'm like, yeah. He goes, how many do you need? And I was like, all I need is like 10. He's like, all right, I'll drop 30 off next week. I was like, thank you, sir.
I need a neighbor like that.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I have great neighbors, but we don't help each other like that.
Yeah. Well, for him, it's like, because again, they run the sawmill and everything as that. He's like, everything under, like everything this size is just firewood.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to do anything with it besides chop it up for firewood. I'm like, and he's like, I don't run a wood stove, so I'm not going to chop it up for firewood. It's just going to sit there. So he's like, if I can just lop it all up into 8-foot sections and just bring it to you and get it off my property, he's like, I'll absolutely do that. I'm like, and that means I don't have to buy posts for a long time.
I need so many more posts. We started fencing this weekend, putting up new fences for the cows.
It looks good.
We did redid the whole lean-to section. Mm-hmm. So now the pigs have a 10 by 12 area underneath the lean-to.
Nice.
The goats have solid fencing instead of that white netting that I had.
Nice.
That's all done. Logan and I finished that. Today we got electric out to the barn, the holding barn. Mm-hmm. It's all wired in. I got it all wired. I just need to run the lights now.
That's awesome.
That would have been done, but we had animals dropped off earlier than I was expecting. So I wasn't going to climb over in the rafters over top of a bunch of animals and get them all worked up.
That sounds like a bad idea.
I got the exit signs up and the safety push stops on the doors all done. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, fingers crossed, as long as she gets back to us, I might have my final inspection for USDA at the end of the week. And awesome. As long as she approves everything, the final paperwork gets sent out for approval. And then all we need is we got to order our stamps, which I have to get paperwork from the USDA for, and label printer and labels. That's why I had messaged you and asked you about that, because I was checking out different ones. So, yeah, we're right in that final push to get the USDA stuff done.
That's awesome, dude. That is absolutely fantastic. Well, Joseph, where can everyone find you?
Here, usually every week with Kyle on Meet the Critters.
Usually.
Hey, we were doing good before SRF.
We were doing really good.
And then I'm on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, Blake's the Acres. Oh, Shitty Kitty. We didn't talk about Shitty Kitty.
We will talk about Shitty Kitty on the next episode. My wife's called me twice, so because that's an hour in itself.
Oh yeah, easily. I think I got all of them, and then over on Telegram.
Yeah, so fantastic. Oh shit, I haven't done these long plugs in a while. All right, everybody. So long shitty plugs. Here we go. All right, so. If anyone is interested in upping what they're doing for food preservation by getting a chamber sealer, I absolutely suggest it. And you should go over and check out vacuummasterfresh.com. And if you use promo code backwoods, it saves you 15% off the entire site. So that is all vacuum sealers, bags, any other equipment they have on the site, saves you 15%. So go check that out. And I guess I don't have to plug SRF anymore because that's done. But what I will say is you can still go to SRF, you can still go to the site. The link is in the description. And if you go and click on that link, you can buy all the recorded videos. I'm pretty sure at least one of mine is already in there. Actually, probably two. The roundtable is probably in there too.
Yeah.
So you can go watch them now after the fact. So go check that out. And then everything else, you can find me everywhere at BackwoodsButcher603. So that is YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, even though it's a wasteland. We love you all. We missed you. We did. Like the night that we even said it's like we should do it, and it was like I can't do it. Like I do miss doing it, and it is super fun. So I'm glad we're back, and we're gonna keep the ball rolling.
Yes,
I promise. So, all right, everybody. We will see you next time.
See you later.